This is my controversial 2001 Kawasaki Ninja ZX12R barn find in candy lime green. Some argue it lacks the patina to be a true barn find, as it was stored and not in a barn. Who am I to argue with keyboard warriors? We're at a top secret location to pick up our forks, tires, and rims. The mechanic here is an old school master technician. This place is so secretive, there aren't even any signs on the building. Some would say he's turning away business left and right. They say he offers 3 levels of service, and everyone forks up for the priciest option without batting an eye. And those look like our wheels and forks. He also has some interesting stuff, like this 91 Kawasaki Ninja ZX7 fuel tank, and this brand new 1999 never mounted Kawasaki Ninja ZX7R side fairing. How cool is that? And here they are, freshly rebuilt front forks. I'm often called jack of all trades and master of none, and there's a good reason for that. There are many tasks that I can handle. Rebuilding forks isn't one of them. And the reason being is I've actually never rebuilt front forks, and I don't see the reason to start now. While I usually send my racing suspension 530 kilometers to be rebuilt, it takes about 2 months to get them back. These forks were sent to a local shop and were ready in just a few days. They were rebuilt using genuine Kawasaki parts by an old school master. Although more expensive, Kawasaki parts and old school expertise come at a premium. So let's install them and see how things look. To begin, I use a plastic shim to spread the triple clamps. This makes it easier to pass the fork through and prevents scrape marks on the forks. However, if I need, I sometimes resort to a flat screwdriver for a wider spread.
Hey there, awesome people. If you love this video, or even if you didn't, give it a thumbs up so we know you're still with us. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button so we can spam your inbox with more amazing content. Oh, and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you.
I already know the ideal height for my front forks based on my preference. All my previous bikes were set to a 15mm rise. The lower 3-clamp bolts are just finger tight, and that's all. And repeat the process for the other side. Before tightening the upper triple clamp bolts, ensure both upper fork caps are aligned. Attention to detail makes all the difference. And now we're going to torque down the upper 3-clamp bolt to manufacturer specification. In this case, it is 15 foot-pounds. Hey, Stormy. Originally, the forks were flush with the upper triple clamp, but I prefer having them raised by 15mm or approximately ½ an inch. And here's why. 1. Lowering the front end reduces the rake angle, making the bike more responsive and quick to turn, especially useful around corners and track riding. 2. Improved weight distribution. Shifting more weight to the front wheel enhances front end grip. And improves acceleration from a stop. That said, there are trade-offs. Lowering the front forks makes the bike less stable at higher speeds. It is important to make small adjustments, approximately 5 millimeters or 3/16 of an inch at a time, and then test the bike to find the right balance. However, for me, I found on all my bikes 15 millimeters or approximately half an inch is what makes the bike feel good for me. Now, everybody's different, so you just have to play with it. That didn't come out correct. But anyways, let's move on. And the main bolts, we're not going to torque down until the bike is sitting on its wheels. I'll explain that as we get to it. Next is to install the front wheel without the front calipers. Again, the front pinch and axle bolts, they're just finger tight. Now that the front is on, I'm going to pause on tightening and torquing any of the bolts until the rear tire is on. There's logic to my madness, trust me. Where did I hear that before? Anyways, let's go. Before installing the rear tire and rim, it's always good practice to inspect a few components. First, the rear sprocket. Most sprockets are made out of aluminum or steel. Look for any hairline cracks, worn out or missing teeth. And it's a good habit to inspect the sprockets every time you lube the chain, which should be approximately about every 2 fill-ups. Next, we're going to address the most neglected components, and that's the cush drive. First, you need to wash them, but not in the kitchen sink. And then you need to inspect them, make sure they have no cracks, rubber rot, or missing chunks. And make sure they're pliable. If any of these signs are present, they need to be replaced. And not just one, but all of them. And next are the bearings. There are 2 types of bearing. There's a sealed bearing and what we call an open bearing. The sealed bearing, there's really not much you can do other than just spin them, make sure they're smooth, and they don't have excessive free play. This bearing feels really good. The other bearing is what we call an open bearing, which means you can physically see the balls in the bearing. And the way you test these are basically the same. You put your finger inside and you spin it. And this bearing is no good because I can actually feel notches. So this bearing has to be replaced. But I'm still going to install the tire on the bike because today it's actually quite warm in Canada, +7. And I think it's a good time to get the bike out and washed. Well, that sucks. I never thought of this. It never even crossed my mind. The tire will be rubbing against a tire hugger. So what I have to do is loosen the 2 screws, well actually remove the 2 screws on the left side of the tire hugger. That will release some stress on the tire so it can freely rotate I can push the bike outside, wash it, because it's March and 7 degrees in Canada, and that is good. And then I'll bring the bike back, let it dry off, and I will tackle the tire hugger issue. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that, but it looks like the screw was too long and it was rubbing against the chain.
Since her first wash in a very long time, let's have a quick look in her condition. The lower fork tubes are flawless, 10 out of 10 with no signs of stone chips. The front brake mounting clamp bolts need replacement, and the kill switch will also need to be swapped out. The kickstand could definitely use a fresh coat of paint. The biggest issue is the aluminum, which shows significant oxidation. Proudly mounted on the side is a titanium 105 howitzer, and it's in like new condition. And there's more oxidation. The radiator cap and clamp are already on order. The front forks are in mint condition with no scratches or pitting. There's more oxidation on the clutch lever. And the rear shock looks brand new. Its stickers show no discoloration and the corners are intact with no peeling. Overall, this barn find is looking good. The bike wasn't particularly dirty. It was mostly covered with stone dust. So, the next barn find, I'll make sure I throw a bucket of dirty water and throw in some mice droppings for the extra patina. I think that would clarify any confusion. And that wraps up this segment of the video. I still need to align the front forks, and there's a special procedure that I use. And yes, the front forks need to be aligned. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and remember, always hug your pets. Until next time, take care.
Well,